I was born in agriculture. I was on a farm, and my dad was the fourth generation, the fifth generation on the farm there. And technology and new things change so rapidly. Even in those days, we think of today's changing rapidly, not compared to those days. I had little or no interest in school. Had it not been for playing baseball, I'd never finished high school. If it had been in the fall, right? My dad and mother were both on my back. They insisted I get a college degree, and because he had one, his brother had one. His brother was the dean of the College of Agriculture and Home Economics, Kansas State University, and a prestigious educator. And my dad did a lot of educational work, Forestry Associated. So the family had a long history of educational promotion. Dad and mother both wanted me to go to college, and I thought, I want to go to college, I want to farm. Because something about the farm, the hard work, the dirt and all that, that's a negative. But there's so many positives about working on a farm that I just couldn't pass it up. My younger brother has a PhD in dairy histology. Nobody in the world knows more about the reproductive tract of a dairy cow than he does. And he spent half his life with his hands up a cow's ass, palpitating uteruses and cervix and all that. And he wrote the book on artificial insemination and brought that to Kansas State, got his master's PhD there by teaching in vitro fertilization and embryo transplant and all that. And nobody in the world knows more about the reproductive tract of a cow than he does. And he did very well at it. He was well known around the world. Great-great-great-grandfather came there in 1803 with a group of people from Middletown, Connecticut, 35 men and 1 woman. And he was 18 years old. The story goes, and we don't know how to prove this, but the story goes that the Revolutionary War soldiers didn't get paid, so Congress made it up to them by creating the Far West, which was Illinois, and the Western Reserve, which was Ohio and Western Pennsylvania, and that they awarded qualified soldiers that land, $1 an acre for the Far West, Illinois, and $1.50 an acre for the Western Reserve. And the story goes that his uncle, the uncle of Josiah Starr, my great-great-great-grandfather, didn't want the grant, so he gave it to his nephew. We can't prove that, but it makes sense because the 18-year-old never served in the Revolutionary War, obviously. And his first mission there was to clear enough land to build a log cabin. He built a 12 by 18-foot log cabin, upscale with a loft. So I tell this story about him when his wife was pregnant with her 7th child or 8th child. They had a meaningful discussion between a man and wife. When she talks, you listen, then you say, yes, dear. The prospect of 10 of them living in an 12 by 18-foot log cabin with a loft, even with a loft, was more than she wanted to handle. So he built the house in 1828 that I'm living in today. It probably saved our farm. My dad was educated, my uncle, his brother, was educated to be a school teacher. My dad was educated to be a county agent. And in the meantime, they found out by adding lime to the soil, you could increase in fact, my dad had pretty well made up his mind he wasn't going to be a farmer. The farmer wouldn't produce anything. And so the news came out, Dr. Thorne, an eminent scientist back in the late 1800s, had determined that if you added lime to the soil, it would once again become fairly productive. He had to have phosphorus and potash and other things too. But the lime was the key, because even though how fertile the soil was without lime, when the pH went down below 5, it just didn't produce. The fact that he was 38 years old when I was born was the key to the fact that we became owners and operators of the farm in our late 20s and early 30s. Otherwise, great majority, in fact, I would say 90%, the farmers I knew in my life never got to do their thing, to set their own agenda till they're in their 40s and 50s, maybe never. And the old man would never give up. So it goes back to what I think I said before. It's better to be lucky than smart. You put up with the weather. You're totally dependent on Mother Nature for rainfall. And I guess I just think it's probably the challenge of making a go of things under those conditions. I can't think of any other reason. I wouldn't have ever, if I could have done it different, I wouldn't have done anything else. I think the give and take of working together like that, and when push comes to shove, they'll present a solid front. You try to interfere with their business and they'll take you out, take you on. When we started to sell hybrid corn, open pollinated regular corn sold for $1.50 a bushel, and we were charged $6 a bushel. And I'm a 14-year-old kid pedaling his bicycle down the road, talking to crusty old farmers. I didn't get a very good reception. But through research, through the county agent research, we proved it was worth it. And they just there's so many, well, I guess the best way I know how to describe it, that progress, education, progress, science increases by the square rather than the multiple. The more you know, the faster you know it, and the challenge is to keep up. That's a big challenge. In Ohio, the Farm Bureau speaks for agriculture. Now you got other organizations, you got the Grange, you've got the Farmers Union, and you've got several other small organizations. But the Farm Bureau, with 200,000 family members, speaks for agriculture. When I would testify before the legislature in various committees at times, they'd always say, well, this organization over here don't agree with Farm Bureau. I said, yeah, but there's 200,000 in Farm Bureau. They got maybe 10,000 or 5,000. So numbers talk, numbers speak, especially in politics, numbers. And it's been a good organization for young people. They promoted young people. They have all kinds of contests every year for young people. And some of our outstanding leaders today came out of that young people conferences. I say marry a farm girl or inherit one from your dad.